Okay, we have to do this, I suppose. Oh, oh my word. Let's just see if my chat's working and everything. I'll just get all that up. Um, okay, that's on. That's working. That's working. Good, good. Okay. Hello. Hi guys, welcome in. Um, this is gonna be a rough one. Merry Christmas indeed. Happy holidays to everyone. I tweeted this, but it seems to happen every single year. Death, taxes, and Chelsea ruining Christmas, because it seems to happen every single year. Um, this is, as I said, this is not going to be like my usual GBUs. I am not going to even bother with the intro. I'm just going to go straight into it. I'm not going to have pretty much anything good to say, and this is less of a GBU and more of a Poch out rant, because and I'll go on record and say it now. I've reached my limit. I have completely and utterly reached my limit with this guy. Um, no, I'm gonna explain why I've reached my limit. And I know people will say like Poch isn't the problem, but he's part of the problem. And when you're having so many issues, you can't be part of the problem. Um, let's just, you know what? Let's just go straight into it. I'm gonna click this. Okay, cool. That said, I'm not gonna bother with the intro. Um, let's talk about something positive, at least whilst we can. And I'm going to be giving that to Christopher Nkunku. He's the only person that's going in this box, because he's the only person that deserves to be in this box. I think, genuinely, if I was making this as a player ratings, I could put every single one of my player icons, which I have on the right-hand side of my screen right now, I could put them all in this red box, and I don't think anyone would argue with that, if I'm being honest. In this bad box, who am I going to put in here? Does anyone really deserve to be in there? Madueke, maybe? He did alright when he came on, I suppose, but he still wasn't particularly great. Let's do... I've got my notes, so I have notes. Whenever I do GBU, I have notes, and for this one, I have not got too many notes, because, as I said, this was going to be more of a rant than an actual grading, and I've just put in my notes, it says, ugly box, everything else. So, let's just put, I'm going to put Chelsea in here. I'm going to put Pochettino in here. Because I think, as I said, this is going to be less of a grading and more just me. And I'm going to try and be as nice about this as possible and not get angry, because I don't like getting angry. I don't like being negative. You guys know this. I don't like being negative. But sometimes you just kind of have to. I'm going to try and reason my way of why I think Pochettino should leave. Because I know people will say, oh, this game is the fault of players like Sterling, players like Jackson, players like Brozier, who can actually go in here as well. But the reason why I blame Poch for this more than the players is because he's the one that coaches these attacking players. Obviously, the big point of this, Badiashile is actually my next point, so I've just seen that in chat. I was going to put him in here as well, because he's the one that coaches the attackers, and simple things like that, which is going to be the main talking point of everyone's kind of main talking point of this game, was the Sterling. The 3v1 was Sterling. He's the one that should be teaching those players to do the right things in those situations. If he is not doing that in the training sessions, then what the hell is he training them to do? It's the most simple thing in football is to pass across goal for tap-ins, and the fact that they can't do that is just, it has to be on him, because it's the basics. If they can't do the basics, then how can you expect them to do anything more? Again, and it's just a giant conglomeration of just random things that this guy just keeps doing with our club, and I just don't understand it. Someone said in chat, and this is one of the things, Chilwell playing at left wing for half the start of the season. What's that happening? Colwill playing at left back for some reason when he was arguably the best left centre back in the league last year. All of these players are coming into Chelsea And apart from maybe Conor Gallagher, every single player that has come under the control of Pochettino has gotten worse. I don't think a single one of our players has been at a different club and has gotten better. I just genuinely can't think of anyone. As I said, maybe Conor Gallagher. Petrovic is actually also going to go into the green box. Where have I put him? Do I not have? I don't think I have a Petrovic box. Well, just imagine that he's in there, because I did want to put Georgie in here. I don't actually have Petrovic on my list, even though I have a thing for him, so I'm not sure why he's not in here, but there we are. I'm trying to see if do I have any other image that I could put there that would kind of represent him. No, not really. This guy's got his hands up, so there we go. This will be Petrovic, I guess. Basically, and I know people are going to say like, oh, you can't, and even I have been in the past, I have said the phrase, you can lead a horse to water, you can't make it drink. But there has to be a time and a place for when you grab the horse's neck and just shove it under the water and force it to drink, because at this point, our players are literally just drowning. That's what's going on. Is our players are just drowning, and we're not seeing any improvement. We're halfway through the season. We're almost at the end of 2023. We have lost the most amount of Premier League games in the league. That's worse than even any of the bottom three, and it's just. I'm confused, and I know you guys are probably confused. And I've seen people tweeting at me and saying in the YouTube comments, like, someone explain to me, like, can you explain to us what's going on? And I can't. I genuinely can't. And I think it is just it's a problem that's kind of surfaced by Pochettino just being out of his depth and not getting with the modern times of football. His era of football has come and gone, and he doesn't understand how to play in this modern game. And yes, again, we do have. I know people are going to say, "Oh, we don't have enough experience," and it's the lack of experience and these young players that are causing us the issues. Well, Raheem Sterling is one of the most experienced players in our team, and he was the worst player on the pitch by a country mile. So that's completely irrelevant. I know people are going to say, "Oh, this is a project. You got to have patience with a project." But the thing is, we have never been a project club. All of our success has come from sacking managers, bringing in someone short term, and then finding success that way. And in my opinion, you can't start a project in this massive just craziness that we're in. Trying to start a project with the season that we had under Potter last time was a complete and utter mistake. We should have brought in a manager short term to stabilise the club. Someone like a Mourinho, like a Sean Dyche, who was out of a job at that time. Anyone that could just make us at least defensively good. And people are going to say, "Oh, it's not Poch's fault," but Poch had the same players in this team that Tuchel had, and Tuchel brought us to a damn UCL final and had us one of the best defensive teams in the league. So it's obviously a coaching issue. Even Badia Shiel, who I'm putting in this red box, last year he was one of the best centre-backs in the league. Genuinely one of the best centre-backs in the league, even despite us being absolutely woeful up the top. At least our defence was decent. And now he looks like he's never played football. He's made like 7 mistakes in the game against Newcastle. He made a massive one for the goal. In this game. Thiago Silva, who I haven't even put in here, like, Thiago Silva can go here. I think he was okay, but he made another one of those glaring mistakes which I keep pointing out, and he should be phased out of this team, and he's not being phased out of this team, and Pochettino is relying on a 39-year-old to carry this defence, because he can't coach a defence. He can't coach a defence, he can't coach a midfield, he can't coach the attack. What can he coach? Someone answer me that question. What has Pochettino done since he took over from Graham Potter that has made this team any better? Nothing. Absolutely nothing. And there comes a time when I think we saw this in this game. We're chasing a game. We need goals. We're like, okay, we need to try and get a goal back. It's the 74th minute, and Pochettino still has 3 centre backs on the pitch. It's not good enough. We're down. We're doing horribly at half time. No substitutions at half time. We need a swinging crosses at the late stages of the game when we're trying to win a game. Oh, let's take our striker off the pitch. It's just not it's just not sensical. All the things that he's doing is just completely nonsensical. He doesn't ever play Maatsen, who is by far our best left back. He forces Colwill into a position that he's not good at. He takes off Gusto, who was our most productive player off the right hand side against Newcastle, and again in this game was putting in decent crosses, one of which Brozier should have absolutely buried and didn't. And it's just like, it keeps happening every game, and people are going to make excuses for him and say, oh, he needs time, he needs this, he needs this. No, he doesn't. Tuchel came into this club when this club was in 10th position, and he turned us into a world-class team almost overnight. He doesn't need time. Good coaches make the players good. Like, it's not a hard thing to understand. Like, even Jackson, Jackson was at the end of his stint in the Spanish league, in La Liga, he was a great finisher. He was a bit raw, but he was a great finisher, and one of the things he was really good at doing is holding up the ball and interplaying and having a good first touch and bursting away from players, and now he's lost all of that now. At the start of the season, I was heralding this guy as like our saviour, the one player that could drag us up the pitch and actually kind of get us on the attack, and now he's useless. I don't know what he's doing. I don't know what Poch is doing to infect all of these players and make them play absolutely woefully. And Nkunku is the only player that's played well in this game, and that's because Poch simply hasn't had enough time with him to ruin him. Even Cole Palmer, who, again, I'll put Cole Palmer in the yellow box, I don't think he was awful. At the start of his run, Cole Palmer, he was picking out the ball, he was finding runners, he was cutting inside, he was doing all this good work, and now he just turns back, passes it straight back to the centre-backs, or just shoots from 30 yards out. He's got that Mason Mount gene now. He's turned Cole Palmer, who was one of City's most promising youngsters, that we somehow took off them after he scored in a final. We've taken one of their best youngsters and turned him into Mason Mount. Like, I don't understand it, and it kind of makes sense in a way, because Pochettino absolutely loves Conor Gallagher, who basically is just another Mason Mount, but except for he's a little bit better. And it's just embarrassing now. Like, and you've got to kind of, some of the times, and I've always been an advocate for giving managers time. I was never ever Potter out when Graham Potter was a part of our club. I never pushed for him to leave. Up until now, I've never pushed for Pochettino to leave because I thought like giving him enough time would be the good thing to do. But there comes a time when you have to just put your hands up and say, nothing is going to change unless we get a change of coach. Nothing is going to change with these players unless something happens. And it's just, I just don't know. I'm just lost for words. Because at the start of the season, we had this great system in pre-season. Looked like it was going to work, and he's completely abandoned it. Even when he tries to go back to it now, it's too late. I just don't. Guys, and I hate to ramble on and just sound so negative and just complain, especially on Christmas Eve. Why are we playing a game on Christmas Eve? I don't know, but like, it's just like, I can't. I love being positive, and I love to look forward and be like, and say, hey, everything's gonna be okay, everything's gonna be good, we're gonna get out of this slump. And that's what I said after our 2 wins against Sheffield and Newcastle. I thought, okay, this is the time we can push on. And every single time we get one of those situations where we think we can push on and get some progress, this Argentinian bastard, I'm probably gonna get demonetized for saying that, this Argentinian bastard has dragged us straight down. Oh. You've ruined my holiday. You've ruined my holiday. Oh god. But yeah, I mean, I'm trying to see, is there any silver linings I can take from this? I guess Nkunku now will probably be fit enough to start next game, maybe. I guess actually one positive we can take. We can take one positive, and I'll put a red card in here. Is that Sterling cannot start the next game against Palace because he's been suspended. At least, and honestly, the last shred of my hope, there is not very much of it. It is a spider web silk string of hope, and it rests in the hands of a Frenchman that has played 2 games for us. Oh my goodness! And this is just like, and obviously you guys could probably tell I'm trying to make it some kind of comedy out of this, because I need to do it to keep myself sane, because this isn't a comedy, it's a tragedy. and we're just going downhill and downhill and downhill. We are lucky in that our next few games are quite easy, but then again, after seeing Luton yesterday beating Newcastle, I reckon we'll get beaten by Luton too. We got Palace, obviously. We've got Middlesbrough in the cup twice. There's another game in there somewhere which I've forgotten. Hang on, let me quickly check that. What's the other game? Typical of me to forget. What's the other game? Yeah, we got Preston in the FA Cup. So all of these games, and then we've got Fulham. All of these games up until the Liverpool game should be winnable. And that's the key word. They should be. But under this manager, I just don't think any of those games are possible, because he doesn't understand how to motivate these players. And like someone's just said in chat there, he doesn't get up and yell at the players when they're doing badly. It doesn't seem like he wants them to do well. And one of the things which I think was key in this game is that when we went 1-0 down, and obviously we've had this issue quite a lot, where we go 1-0 down and it just seems like we're never going to get into the game, but it genuinely felt in this game particularly that the players had just had enough and they just didn't want to play anymore. And I think that's very telling, because player power has always been a really big issue at Chelsea. Players have always kind of downed tools, as people like to say, whenever they kind of decided that they don't want to play under a manager anymore, and I think that that's what they've done now. I genuinely think that that's what they've done now. That I think they all now have realised that we're going absolutely nowhere, and the excuses just have to stop. And like, I know after this game we're going to get some giant Instagram post from Thiago Silva saying this isn't good enough, and we'll get an Instagram post from Jackson saying he's better than he actually is, or something like that. We'll get Nkunku probably posting a picture of him scoring, which will be good, but like, none of that helps when we're just going to go into the next game and lose, and then go into the next game and lose, and then the next game and lose. And another thing, I feel like the players just seem way more tired than they probably should be, and maybe this is to do with this stupid fitness shite that Pochettino has been kind of putting them through over and over again. We have three games in 6 days in this period. We've had this game, we've got Palace on the 27th, and then on the 30th we've got Luton, I believe. And we obviously are going to need rotation, but it's so funny that as soon as Caicedo comes out of the team, as soon as Enzo comes out of the team, we just turn into absolute schoolboys. I genuinely believe, and this is gonna sound crazy, I genuinely believe that if you put the San Marino national team in this game, they would have done better than Chelsea would have done. That is genuinely how I feel. And it's not a hard thing. I genuinely don't believe that it's a hard thing, at least, to just get like the basics right when it comes to football, when it's just putting players in the right position, letting players kind of play the way they want to, rather than forcing these weird systems that don't work, forcing these odd ideas that don't work, and not changing a damn thing, and then waiting until the 74th minute to put your substitutions on, and basically just giving up on the team. And that's what it kind of feels like. It kind of feels like Pochettino has given up at this point, and I know the whole idea is that he's kind of just trying to wait until, let's wait until Daddy Burley injects another 500 million into the club to buy some players. And like, yes, admittedly, we do need some reinforcements in certain places. I do think that a true out-and-out number 9 is something that we need, because Brozier and Jackson are just not one of those. And Nkunku is not one of those, and he's scored, but he is a second striker. But I genuinely believe if we do not go for Osimhen or Tony in January, this club is probably going to be fighting for relegation at the end of the season. It was very good to see Noni back on the pitch, I do admit, and I feel like, again, Noni not playing has been another thing. There's been the excuse from Poch is that he's not been training well enough, or that he's been injured, but we know the reason why Madueke is not playing. It's because of that incident, that disciplinary incident, where he was partying after he got injured. We know that. We're not stupid. Like, the fans aren't stupid, and I hate the window dressing and the PR that always comes out and says, oh, this player is just not performing enough. No, he's obviously performing. Like, let's be real. I think Madueke has a way bigger ceiling and a way bigger impact to this team on the right wing than Sterling would, certainly. I do believe, before this season at least, I do believe that Madueke was a better winger than Mudryk, and I still do believe that. I do believe Madueke has more potential than Mudryk does, and that's saying something because I really rate Mudryk. And yeah, and again, he's just another tactical decision from Poch, just to not play him. Ever. From the start of the season, he never played. And yeah, and I know people are distracted by chat. People are saying about Osimhen signing a new contract. It doesn't matter, he's got a release clause. Signing, and at this point, signing a contract doesn't mean anything in modern football. It's kind of just like hey, he signed a contract, now you have to pay more. And that's pretty much a negotiation tool, as that teams do. They're just like, oh, because people just pay out contracts now. But, and I don't think, again, I'm kind of actually a bit wary of, I'm a bit wary of Osimhen in general, because obviously he's a player that hasn't played in this league, and pretty much every single expensive foreigner we buy, or an expensive player that we buy that's from a foreign league, should I say rather, doesn't do well here. It's always the kind of the players that we buy from the league that kind of do well, which is why I'm kind of leaning a bit towards Tony. I've seen people, this kind of goes to show how much suffering we are going through. I've genuinely seen people advocating for bringing Dominic Solanke back to the club. I'm like, no, please don't do that. But man, I think Tony is probably the one. It's like, Tony would probably be the one that I would go for personally, but again, I just don't think it would fix the issues, because again, like, Jackson was scoring goals for fun at the end of the season before he came in here, and now he can't even take a first touch right without giving it away. So I don't know what Pochettino is doing, and I know that it's wishful thinking, because these owners that we've now got seem absolutely clueless when it comes to being able to create a squad and be able to back a manager and be able to create a project that isn't going to collapse within 2 seconds. And they obviously do not have a very good talent ID for managers, considering they said that this was an extensive process that they went through to find the next manager, and it ended up being someone that can't even play a left back at left back and a right back at right back. And with that, I think that is going to be the last point that I make in this video, because I don't want to rag on too much, and as I said, I do not want to be too negative. As I hinted at in my last video, I'm not going to be able to make a preview for Palace. Obviously Christmas and holidays are coming around, so I won't have enough time to do that. I do actually also want to say big thanks to you guys for the support in the last 2 videos. They have been doing, those 2 videos that I've just last uploaded have done really well, so thanks for the support on those. There's gonna be an ad in 40 seconds I've just seen on my thing, so I'm gonna try and end this before that ad happens, so none of you have to watch an ad. But yeah, thanks everyone for tuning into the stream. We'll have to hope that Palace goes a bit better. I don't think it will do, but there we go. Thanks for stopping by, guys, and enjoy your holidays if you're celebrating. If you're not celebrating, then enjoy the coming days in general. But yeah, thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you after the Palace game. I'll be doing another GBU after the Palace game, so I'll see you then. Cheers.